hoping that noise doesn't pick up that much on camera. If it does, I'm really sorry. I got new earrings. Okay, so as we talk about predators a lot on this channel, I thought it was about time that we covered Prince Andrew. I watched a full documentary on, I think it's the Channel 4. I would actually suggest watching that. I will link it below. If you want a full in-depth, I don't even know why I'm still calling him Prince Andrew, because he recently had his Prince title stripped from him.
Resign, Prince Andrew. You're an embarrassment.
So you know there's a lot of stuff about to come out. Just a quick snapshot backstory. Prince Andrew is the third child of the late Queen Elizabeth II. He was known to be quite a spoilt brat of a child. He had an Aston Martin, like, little car. He used to pull pranks on, you know, members of staff and shit all the time.
He was allowed to get away with a lot of things.
Footmen were laying the table, he'd tie the cutlery, or he'd sort of tie the sentry's bootlaces together.
Foam into the swimming pool at Buckingham Palace. He turned the mast on the television.
He was a complete pain in the neck.
Which I actually feel like taught him that he could get away with anything, because it was also confirmed that he was kind of like the favourite child.
The Queen adored him more than anybody else. He was the Queen's favourite.
Because Queen Elizabeth, by the time she had her third child, had sort of figured out the Queen stuff by that point, so she was able to kind of balance being a mum a lot better, and because of that, Andrew was protected a lot, not just as an adult but as a child. Credit where credit is due, he did go into battle. He even was kind of on the front lines in a way.
Andrew was a decoy helicopter pilot to safeguard ships. It was his job to put himself between the missile and its target.
I was the junior of the junior. I was cannon fodder.
And hence why he had accommodations. He has since had his accommodations removed, which I have two minds about, because whilst I understand why people would want them removed, because someone who has done what he has allegedly, I think, he hasn't been to court for this yet, which we will get into. So because of that, I think it's still allegedly. I completely understand why Prince and Duke were removed. I have questions around the accommodations, for the simple fact that he did put his life on the line, save his fellow soldiers.
When we picked up the wounded, there was two men sat just behind Prince Andrew, and they were badly burnt people, and you could literally see the steam coming out of their flesh. It was like looking at a roasted joint come out the oven. The skin was literally peeling from them.
It was an experience I shall never forget.
So I do have questions around that. I'm not sure that was necessary. Like, don't get me wrong, I am the biggest Predator hater, as you know from my massive playlist, but I still question. It depends what obviously those accommodations are for. If they are for specifically for the service and not for example, I don't know what accommodation the Queen may give him. He was kind of the favourite. If it was something like that, completely understand. If it was simply for his work, then I don't really get that. However, he was known to kind of be the spoilt child who didn't really work much, even though he had like a house, etc., paid by the taxpayers. And so eventually he was given a job to almost be like an ambassador for the UK, because obviously he was a prince. He opened a lot of doors, as it was seen. It seemed like they tried to keep him busy, because otherwise he was known to be like the cheeky chappy kind of thing.
But if you remember, I didn't get your telephone number.
Points of that documentary I get annoyed, because they kind of reference that Epstein was manipulative, etc., and I disagree. I think that Andrew was not some 15, 16-year-old kid. He was a 30-something-year-old man. To say that he was manipulated by Epstein is ridiculous. Do I think people can be manipulated at 30-odd years old? Yes. To have sex with someone who appears underage, even if 17 is legal in the UK, who the fuck is a 30-plus-year-old having sex with a 17-year-old? At the very least, it's morally wrong. And I have huge questions around how Epstein even got through the amount of security checks that is required from someone who is associated with anyone in the royal family, because I found him incredibly arrogant in that documentary. I really want to go through the whole interview. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to include the whole thing, but I want to go through the interview and see, and just kind of raw react. Obviously, I've seen key parts, but I haven't seen the whole 50 minutes. Just keep in mind, this interview was from 2019, so obviously things have moved like things have changed since then. This gives a kind of insight into Andrew because he came out of this interview thinking it had gone very, very well.
You've chosen to speak out for the first time. Why have you decided to talk now?
By the way, they had been trying to get this interview for ages. I think it was at least 6 months to speak about Epstein. And he had turned around and said to Newsnight that Epstein is off limits. And Epstein wasn't even in the forefront of people's minds at the time. So because there was this, you know, do not talk about this thing, they decided not to have the interview. And then obviously everything started coming out about Epstein. When that happened, they tried to do so there's this thing with the royal family where they never explain, never complain. They were trying to do that for a really long time. And obviously it wasn't working because this story was not going away.
Because there is no good time to talk about Mr. Epstein and all things associated.
Notice he calls him Mr. Epstein. That becomes relevant later.
We've been talking to Newsnight for about 6 months about doing something around the work that I was doing. And unfortunately, we've just not been able to fit it into either your schedule or my schedule until now.
Like how Emily kind of smirks at that, knowing full well it has nothing to do with schedules. Not aligning is literally due to the fact that they declined interviewing him because he refused, or the palace refused at the time, to have him speak about Epstein.
Well, I met through his girlfriend back in 1999, who, and I'd known her since she was at university in the UK. And it would be, to some extent, a stretch to say that as it were, we were close friends.
I mean, every time he needed to have a place to stay, especially in America, he spoke to Epstein. Obviously, I'm pretty sure he's been to his island. There's been numerous photos. Do you want to come up?
And I had a lot of opportunity to go to the United States, but I didn't have much time with him. I suppose I saw him once or twice a year, perhaps maybe maximum of 3 times a year.
Does anyone believe this at all?
If I was in the United States and doing things, and if he wasn't there, he would say, well, why don't you come and use my houses? So I said, that's very kind, thank you very much indeed.
Yeah, of course he did, because he was known to spend, him and his wife at the time, were known to spend a lot of money that they didn't have. So he would definitely be looking for boarding, like for housing, not just for privacy, but because he was broke. He had no money.
Considerable stretch to say that he was a very, very close friend, but he had the most extraordinary ability to bring extraordinary people together.
Notice that, extraordinary people together. Didn't he bring a lot of young girls to the place he was photographed with Epstein at in New York?
We've had a tip-off that Prince Andrew is in New York, and as I walked into his street, there was suddenly what I describe as men in suits talking into their cufflinks. It's the Royal Protection Squad. There were young girls going in and out, like every hour and a half, 2 hours.
And it was a revolving door of young women. Why would there need to be a revolving door of young women?
Because you were perceived by the public as being the party prince.
I don't know why I've collected that title, because I never have really partied.
Yeah, because you weren't seen at a bunch of Epstein parties, or known as like the guy that would go to a bunch of like clubs and stuff and get girls' phone numbers. He was literally the Prince Harry of the earlier generation. Like, it was a proper scandal.
I was single for quite a long time in the early 80s, but then after I got married, I was very happy.
So this is another thing I have a problem with. Amazingly, not related to Andrew, but related to the Queen, is that I've spoken about previously that one of the reasons Diana and Charles were such a bad couple together is because of the fact that Charles was not allowed to be the person he wanted to be with. And this exact same thing happened to Andrew.
She'd appeared in a series of films nude. He's told she's totally unsuitable as a wife. He was very disappointed that that relationship was not allowed to continue.
Even though Meghan Markle had been seen in suits in, not topless, but like insinuated sexual acts and stuff. So I'm not sure how the fuck one was approved but the other wasn't. I know it's like maybe because times have changed and stuff, I guess. I question around that, that's all. If he wanted to marry the person he wanted to marry, that person was deemed inappropriate. Okay, well, he's just not a prince then. Just let him be a normal person. If he wants to do that and be with the person he loves, then why was he not allowed to do that? That has always annoyed me about the royal family.
And I've never really felt the need to go and party.
Even the way he says that is annoying.
And certainly going to Jeffrey's was not about partying.
Notice he just said Jeffrey's. Jeffrey's. It was Mr. Epstein. And now within less than 3 minutes, because this is at 3:01 in this interview, all of a sudden it's Jeffrey's.
Did you trust him?
Yes, I think I probably did.
Considering what you guys did together, you definitely fucking did. This is the thing that I will say about Jeffrey Epstein. In some ways, he was clever, that he had so many people of power, because we've seen that even in America, they will not release the Epstein list. And there's a reason for that, is because there's so many people of power, God knows how many nations, that will be highly affected by that list. And I imagine there must be videos or photos that he had on all of these people.
And I was going to become the special representative for international trade and investment. So I wanted to know more about what was going on in the international business world.
And to do that, you spoke to Epstein? I don't know, did Epstein have anything to do with the international business world? I thought he might have had stuff to do with Hollywood.
He was your guest as well. In 2000, Epstein was a guest at Windsor Castle and at Sandringham. He was brought right into the heart of the royal family.
Exactly. How the fuck did he clear security checks? Like, they use people like MI5 to investigate people before they're invited into such places, for fuck's sake. Make it make sense.
Am I right in thinking you threw a birthday party for Epstein's girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, at Sandringham?
No, it was a shooting weekend.
A shooting weekend?
Just a straightforward shooting weekend.
How gross, by the way. But also, I call 100% bullshit.
We now know that he was and had been procuring young girls for sex trafficking.
We now know that. At the time,
He's not about to say what I think he's going to say.
there was no indication to me or anybody else that that was what he was doing.
Bullshit! Bullshit! He was pictured with a young girl. He was known, and everyone in that fucking circle knew that Jeffrey had young masseurs, which I imagine is very much like the happy ending masseurs, but, you know, allegedly. There's literally, in the documentary, there is a girl who said she was 22 at the time, who was invited by Jeffrey to one of these things. She was talking to a bunch of young girls who were there, assuming they were of similar age to her, and then found out they were much younger. 16, 17, 18, I want to say. I don't necessarily want to say younger, because I don't think she gave specific ages, but she said they were younger than her. And he was known to do this all the fucking time. Like I said, why were there so many young girls going in and out of that apartment with you then, Andrew? Answer me that. Because I have no fucking clue why there would be so many going in and out. So shit, your fucking old age. Also, don't forget, that photo that was taken by him, taken while he was at Epstein's house with the revolving door of young girls, this was after Epstein had been convicted of sex trafficking these young girls.
When I saw him either in the United States or when I was staying in his houses in the United States, there was no indication, absolutely no indication. And if there was...
All of a sudden, well, there was no indication, but if there was, no, well, why do you need to caveat it?
You have to remember that at the time, I was patron of the NSPCC's Full Stop campaign, so I was close up time about getting rid of abuse to children, so I knew what the things were to look for.
And how did you not recognise a man who was trafficking young girls, who was, after this period that you're speaking of, convicted, and then you chose to go to his place? I do think, by the way, Epstein said, if you aren't photographed with me, because that will do a huge amount for my reputation, I will leak something. I genuinely think that's what happened. It's really weird they only went out for a walk for 20 minutes, seemingly for no reason. That was for Epstein's benefit, not Andrew's.
So you would have made that connection because you stayed with him, you were a visitor, a guest on many occasions at his homes.
Also, by the way, he didn't recognise Jimmy Savile. But yeah, he knows how to recognise child abuse sort of cases.
And nothing struck you as suspicious?
Nothing.
During that whole time?
Nothing.
Then you're terrible at your job.
Just for the record, you've been on his private plane.
Yes.
You've been to stay on his private island.
Yes.
Okay, so he has. I mean, at least he admitted it, I guess. But does he not realise what that insinuates?
An arrest warrant was issued for Epstein for sexual assault of a minor.
Yes.
In July, he was invited to Windsor Castle to your daughter, Princess Beatrice's 18th birthday.
Okay, two things regarding that. One, again, how the fuck is someone who was convicted, authorised by the Royal Palace security, etc., to be invited, even if he was invited prior to the conviction? How the fuck did that... How was that authorised? Second, who the fuck, as a father, invites a sexual predator who's been convicted of such to your just turned 18-year-old daughter's birthday party? It means he put his, how did he frame their friendship again? Seemingly not so close friendship with Epstein above his daughter's and her friends, I would imagine, safety.
Why would you do that?
Because I was asking Ghislaine. But even so, at the time, I don't think, certainly I wasn't aware when the invitation was issued what was going on in the United States.
But your royal security should have been, surely.
And I wasn't aware until the media picked up on it, because he never said anything about it.
Because that was only removed recently, by the way. He only had his security removed, like, this year. In 2006, it was there.
He was jailed. This
Yes.
was your friend. How
Yes.
did you feel about it?
Well, I ceased contact with him.
But you didn't. Because there are letters, emails, whatever it was, confirming that you had been in contact and supported Epstein to that day. Even his own wife at the time was sending emails, letters, whatever it was, to Epstein to say that we still support you. But yeah, he ceased contact. Why is there pictures of you with him then, Andrew?
After I was aware that he was under investigation, and that was later on in 2006. And I wasn't in touch with him again until 2010. Just
Emily is biting her fucking lip right now, because I know she wants to go, yeah, you were.
He was released in July. Within months, by December of 2010, you went to stay with him at his New York mansion. Why? Why were you staying with a convicted sex offender?
Right. I have always...
How the fuck can you answer this? Like, there is no good way to answer this, except for, like, I was going to say truthfully, at the very least, but I don't even think that would save Andrew here. Because there is no good answer.
Ever since this has happened, and since this has become, as it were, public knowledge that I was there, I've questioned myself.
Public knowledge. Since it became public knowledge. He was going to say something else, but then realised we can't say that because it's now publicly known. The wording of that is insane to me, because he's basically admitting in that characterisation that he wouldn't have admitted this if it wasn't public.
Now, I went there with the sole purpose of saying to him that because he had been convicted, it was inappropriate for us to be seen together.
And then you were seen in a park.
I felt that doing it over the telephone was the chicken's way of doing it. I had to go and see him and talk to him. And I was doing a number of other things in New York at the time. And we had an opportunity to go for a walk in the park. And that was the conversation, coincidentally, that was photographed.
Coincidentally. I'm pretty sure Epstein knew those photographers would be there.
By mutual agreement during that walk in the park, we decided that we would part company, and I left, I think it was the next day. And to this day, I never had any contact with him from that day forward.
Pretty sure one of the letters, emails, is dated after 2010.
He was what I would describe as understanding. He didn't go into any great depth in the conversation about what I was doing, or what he was doing.
You notice that correction again?
What I was doing, or what he was doing.
I know these are so small, but they're like leaks of what he truly wants or would say if he wasn't constantly watching what he needs to say.
He'd accepted whatever it was, a plea bargain. He'd served his time. He was carrying on with his life.
Don't forget, Andrew was also being looked at by the FBI. I'm pretty sure he was also being charged with something, but the Queen and she greased palms. People do complain about that, like, why didn't she just continue to go after him? He had all of the royal lawyers behind him. She'd been going through this process for years, and I'm sure she just wanted this over with. I do question how the fuck she's also all of a sudden died. I hope it was natural causes.
But with all the attendant scrutiny on me, then I don't think it is a wise thing to do.
That is something that was highlighted at the end of that documentary, was that he is one of the only people who has had his, rake through the coals for this. And not saying that he shouldn't, trust me. There are definitely a lot of people that are getting away with what they did at the moment, at the very least, until that full list is released. I think one of the reasons, especially, he was held to such a high standard, he has what most people, even celebrities, wouldn't have. He has royal security teams who should be looking through people like Epstein to make sure that anyone he's coming into contact with, who he's building friendships with, is not a piece of fucking shit. To make sure he's not doing anything untoward. Like, that photo should never have fucking happened.
That was December of 2010.
Yep.
He threw a party to celebrate his release, and you were invited as the guest of honour.
Because it was a small dinner party. There were only 8 or 10 of us, I think, at the dinner. If there was a party, then I'd know nothing about that.
You were invited to that dinner as a guest of honour?
Well, I was there, so there was a dinner. I don't think it was quite as you might put it, but yeah, okay, I was there at a dinner, yeah.
He doesn't like it being insinuated that he was the guest of honour after Epstein had just been released from prison. That reaction's very telling. I would love to see a body language expert just rip apart this interview.
You said you went to break up the relationship, and yet you stayed at that New York mansion several days. I'm wondering how long...
But I was doing a number of other things while I was there.
But you were staying at the house of a convicted sex offender.
It was a convenient place to stay.
How is that an answer to that question? It was a convenient place to stay. A convicted sex offender's property is not a fucking convenient place to stay. I just know the royal palace people were just like, at that statement, because what the fuck?
I've gone through this in my mind so many times. At the end of the day, with the benefit of all the hindsight that one could have, it was definitely the wrong thing to do.
No shit.
But at the time, I felt it was the honourable and right thing to do.
You don't have to be honourable to a sex predator. You really, really don't.
And I admit fully that my judgment was probably coloured by my...
friendship with him?
Tendency to be too honourable. Tendency to be too honourable.
What? His tendency to be too honourable to a sex predator!
But that's just the way it is.
Because during that time, those few days, witnesses say they saw many young girls coming and going at the time. There is video footage of Epstein accompanied by young girls.
If they were, I wasn't a party to any of that. I never saw them. His house, people coming in and out of that house all the time. What they were doing and why they were there, I had nothing to do with. So
that putting his hands up like that is very... I was watching a body analyst thing today. That's a very please believe me sign, because it's a very overt... Tiny movements are your natural body's instinct from what you're saying or thinking. Big ones, like please believe me, they are... you know you're doing them.
I'm afraid I can't make any comment on that because I really don't know.
I say that as he makes a huge shake of his head.
Another guest was John Brockman, the literary agent. Now,
That is a truly, holy fuck, shocked face. Like, he was not expecting that at all.
Described seeing you there, getting a foot massage from a young Russian woman. Did that happen?
No.
From that expression, Andrew, it kind of seems like you're lying.
You're absolutely sure, or you can't remember?
Absolutely sure.
So John Brockman's statement is false?
Well, I don't know Mr. Brockman, so I don't know what he's talking about.
That wasn't the question. I hate when people do that. Like, they asked you a straightforward fucking question. They answer something completely different. Like, that wasn't the question. The question was, could he have seen you with a young Russian girl getting a foot massage? That's a yes or a no, mate. That's not a, oh, well, I don't know him, so I don't know his character, maybe he would lie. That wasn't the question.
But that definitely wasn't you getting a foot massage from a Russian girl in Jeffrey Epstein's house.
No.
It might seem a funny way to break off a friendship, a 4-day house party of sorts with a dinner.
Yeah, it sounds more like, I'm so glad you're out.
It's an odd way to break up a friendship.
It's a difficult way of putting it. That's a very stark way of putting it. Yes, you're absolutely right.
Because that's the way the whole entire fucking world sees it, Andrew.
So let's go to that Central Park walk, which was snapped. Friends of yours suggest that Epstein wanted that photo taken.
Okay, so I'm not the only one.
Perhaps he'd even set it up. Do you worry that you were being played?
New information is coming out since his suicide.
Suicide? Why is there 5 minutes outside of his fucking cell that's just missing from the security camera? Yeah, sure, suicide.
My staff and my people and I can't find any evidence to suggest that that was what he was doing. I mean, you can look at it in so many different ways. The fact of the matter is that somebody very cleverly took that photograph.
Someone literally ran after you guys to get that photo, by the way.
I mean, he could have done, but
I don't know if Andrew's always spoken like this, or it's just nerves. Although he comes off incredibly cocky and confident at the same time, so it probably isn't nerves. He's trying to say everything, I feel like, but the truth. And I truly believe that truth is, Epstein said, you go out there with me and get a photo, or I release blank. The fact that everything's starting to happen with Andrew the last couple of weeks, I guarantee something's going to come out.
You feel that you were part of Epstein's public rehabilitation?
Oh, no. Funny enough, I don't. If that photograph was taken with that purpose in mind, then it doesn't equate.
So why wouldn't you announce this breakup when you got back? Why wouldn't you publicly explain what you'd done?
Because he didn't actually break up with his friend.
Did you worry that he had something that could compromise you?
No.
Do you regret that trip?
Yes.
Do you regret the whole friendship with Epstein?
That's an easy fucking answer. The fact that he immediately said yes to the trip, but not to his friendship with Epstein.
Now, still not.
It was the easiest fucking question.
And the reason being is that the people that I met, the opportunities that I was given to learn, either by him or because of him, were actually very useful. He himself, not, as it were, as close as you might think. We weren't that close.
Not that close, but you still felt like you had to fly over and stay with him for 4 days to break up with him because you weren't that close? That doesn't tie back to what the fuck you just said.
I mean, yes, I would go and stay in his house, but that was because of his girlfriend.
Who wasn't there, by the way.
Not because of him.
Was that visit, December of 2010, the only time you saw him after he was convicted?
Yes.
Did you see him or speak to him again?
No, that was that. Funny enough, 2010 was it.
What do you mean, funnily enough? This is so small, but to say funnily enough, to insinuate like he was going to, or he wanted to.
I had to make sure that there was enough time between his release, because it wasn't something that I was going into in a hurry. I had to go and see him. I had to
stay with him and stay in the house.
I could easily have gone and stayed somewhere else.
Exactly!
One of Epstein's accusers, Virginia Roberts, has made allegations against you. She says she met you in 2001. She says she dined with you danced with you at Tramp nightclub in London.
But he never partied.
Party?
But it was at Tramp nightclub. Classy.
She went on to have sex with you in a house in Belgravia belonging to Ghislaine Maxwell, your friend.
In 2001, he would have been 30 odd. I don't actually know his date of birth. He was around a 17-year-old girl who has accused him, and the palace paid off after she accused him of sexual assault. In the UK, 16-year-old is legal. Obviously, there are still things of like coercion and prostitution. There's a lot of predators always say, oh, well, you know, they're 16 in the UK, it's legal, you're allowed to have sex with them. Doesn't make it right. I've actually said for a long time, and I've mentioned this in a number of videos now, that I truly believe there needs to be like a tier. A 17-year-old can have sex with a 17-year-old and 18, 18 and 19, etc. All the way up to 25. I truly don't think anyone fucking over the age of 25 should, at their very least, have anything to do with anyone under the age of 20.
Your response?
I have no recollection of ever meeting this lady. None whatsoever.
There is a photo of you. Either that, look, if you have no recollection, either you have no recollection because you meet so many fucking young women at these Epstein parties.
Party?
Or you are choosing to forget her because of what you did. Because if you didn't meet that many young women around Epstein, as you so claim, that one would have fucking stood out to you, no?
You bought her drinks. You were in Tramp nightclub in London. And she went on to have sex with you in a house in Belgravia belonging to Ghislaine Maxwell.
Didn't happen. I have no recollection of ever meeting her. I'm almost, in fact, I'm convinced that I was never in Tramps with her. There are a number of things that are wrong with that story. One of which is that I don't know where the bar is in Tramps. I don't drink.
Someone fucking find a photo of him at one of these parties.
Party?
With some sort of fucking alcohol, because bullshit. And also, even if you don't drink, doesn't mean you don't go to clubs, doesn't mean you don't go to bars. Especially if you were single. It was very fucking well known at the time that he was known to get a lot of girls' phone numbers, especially after he'd been to the Navy. He was known and well liked.
That couldn't have happened because the date that is being suggested, I was at home with the children.
You know that you were at home with the children. Was it a memorable night?
On a random night in 2001, you don't remember where the fuck you were. The Royal Palace may have like an itinerary or something of where you were or what you were doing, maybe, but you won't remember it. I wouldn't remember where the fuck I was in 2000. I mean, in 2001, I was like 11. But I
was at home. I was with the children. I'd taken Beatrice to a Pizza Express in Woking for a party, sort of 4 or 5 in the afternoon. And then because the Duchess was away...
Oh, because the Duchess is away, the Duke is going to play. Is that how it went, Andrew?
Why would you remember that so specifically? Why would you remember a Pizza Express birthday and being at home?
Because going to Pizza Express in Woking is an unusual thing for me to do.
Do you have a receipt to prove you were there, Andrew? CCTV, maybe? Probably not back to 2001, actually.
A very unusual thing for me to do. I've only been to Woking a couple of times, and I remember it weirdly distinctly.
How convenient.
She described dancing with you, and you profusely sweating, and that she went on to have bath, possibly...
There's a slight problem with the sweating. I have a peculiar medical condition, which is that I don't sweat, or I didn't sweat at the time. Had suffered what I would describe as an overdose of adrenaline in the Falklands War when I was shot at.
Any medical proof of that? Any doctors confirming during that period? Not like conveniently signing it now to confirm that during that period. I mean, like, during 2001, was there a medical professional who confirmed that the reason you weren't sweating, which is pretty fucking obvious, by the way, again, royal family would require these people to go to a medical professional to get a health check once a year, I would assume. So again, there should be some sort of medical confirmation that he was assigned this weird thing. Where is it?
Almost impossible for me to sweat. And it's only because I have done a number of things in the recent past that I'm starting to be able to do that again.
So again, to have had to go through all of these different things to be able to sweat again, surely there is a medical journal of all of the things they assigned for you, whether it's medication or therapy, physical therapy, whatever it might have been. You don't just sweat immediately. He's literally just confirmed he would have had to do certain things to be able to sweat again. So that would have been assigned to him by a medical professional. Where the fuck is that?
Because she was very specific. She described the dance that you had together in Tramp. She described meeting you. She was a 17-year-old girl meeting a senior member of the royal family.
More memorable than a fucking Pizza Express.
Never happened.
She provided a photo of the two of you together.
Yes.
Your arm was around her waist.
Yes.
You've seen the photo.
I've seen the photograph.
How do you explain that?
I can't.
Exactly. You can't explain it away.
Your friend suggested that the photo is fake.
I think it's, from the investigations that we've done, you can't prove whether or not that photograph is faked or not, because it is a photograph of a photograph of a photograph.
So no one's got an original? Really? Does Epstein have the original, maybe? That wouldn't surprise me.
I don't remember that photograph ever being taken.
But it's possible that it was you with your arm around
That's
her
me, but whether that's my hand or whether that's the position, I have simply no recollection of a photograph ever being taken.
The world has now seen the photo that Virginia Roberts provided, taken by Epstein.
I haven't seen this and didn't know that, by the way. Doesn't shock me. I can only imagine the photos he probably had from Epstein Island, not just of Andrew, but of all of the other people, celebrities, Trump that was there.
In Ghislaine Maxwell's house.
Well, here's the problem. I've never seen Epstein with a camera in my life.
I think it was Virginia Roberts' camera. She said a little Kodak one that she lent to Epstein. He took a photo and your arm is round her waist.
I don't remember that photograph ever being taken. I don't remember going upstairs in the house.
Could you have been on drugs and maybe not remembering any of it? Is that possible? You may not drink, but you never said you didn't take drugs.
I mean, that is what I would describe as me in that picture. But we can't be certain as to whether or not that's my hand on her.
So why would somebody have put in another hand? You think it is you next to her in the photo?
Oh, it's definitely me.
I don't know why Emily's getting confused with this. He's trying to say that it could have been him with his arm around somebody else and they've doctored it, plopped him in next to her, or plopped her in that photo because he doesn't remember. So I can see what he's trying to say. He's definitely not saying it very well, because clearly even Emily's not following this.
Just to clarify, so you think that photo has been faked?
Nobody can prove that photograph has been doctored, but I don't recollect that photograph ever being taken. I'm terribly sorry, but if I, as a member of the royal family, and I have a photograph taken and I take very, very few photographs, I am not one to, as it were, hug, and public displays of affection are not something that I do.
He's not wrong, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's something the Royal Palace has told him to say. Although, you know, he was also seen as a cheeky chappy who put a fucking rose in his mouth. So
I'm at a loss to explain this particular photograph. If the original was ever produced, then perhaps we might be able to solve it, but I can't.
You can say categorically that you don't recall meeting Virginia Roberts, dining with her, dancing with her at Tramp, or going on to have sex with her in a bedroom in a house in Belgravia.
I can absolutely categorically tell you it never happened.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
I also forgot to mention he's also been pictured on yachts with topless women of age, again, around that time. So it wouldn't be super out of fucking character, okay?
She said in a legal deposition, a legal court document in 2015, she had sex with you 3 times.
3 times! It wasn't even fucking once.
She is not confused about this. She said the first was in London when she was trafficked to you.
Oh, that was telling. That's a very strange place to snigger, laugh at, no? Almost like he's remembering it, because he immediately snaps back within 2 seconds.
There was a witness there, Johanna Stolberg, who says that you did visit the house in that month.
probably did. I don't think on one of the weirder things I was.
Do you notice he says things that, funny enough, are weirder things? It's a strange way to speak if you're telling the truth. I watch a lot of crime documentaries, true crime and stuff, hence why obviously I do a lot of that reaction now. And I don't think I've ever heard someone state something in that manner. I can't even say it's a generational thing, because I've watched people speak who are in their 50s, 60s to 20s and even like teenagers. It feels like the way to start a lie, is what I'm trying to say.
Why would she be saying those things?
We wonder exactly the same, but I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea.
So she just had this compulsion to lie, even though she has a photo with you and that other people have seen her with Epstein. Your shit stinks, Andrew.
Are you saying you don't believe her? She's lying.
That's a very difficult thing to answer because
she's telling the truth?
She spoke about you outside the court in August of this year. Mm-hmm. She said, I quote, "He knows exactly what he's done and I hope he comes clean about it."
And the answer is nothing.
That is an arrogant fucking face. I think that if he had admitted to, at the very least, meeting her. Now, I don't know if royal lawyers have said you can't admit anything because of XYZ. I could stand that. But I think at the very least admitting that you regret your friendship with a sex predator, someone who trafficked women, underage young girls, at the very least regretting been in a situation to have seen clearly Virginia and not have done anything. Even if you don't admit to the sexual abuse, etc., at the very least just admitting, I wish I had said something, I wish I had done something, I should have done something, and I will regret that till my dying day. But there's zero admission, and I don't think he's ever going to admit. I don't care if he's convicted. I don't think he will ever admit what he's done.
So if Virginia Roberts is watching this interview, what is your message to her?
I don't have a message for her because I have to have a thick skin. If somebody's going to make those sorts of allegations, then I've just got to have a thick skin and get on with it.
Even if they didn't happen, for argument's sake, okay? It's been confirmed that Epstein did traffic young girls. It's been confirmed that, at the very least, Virginia was one of those young girls. Would you not at least say, I'm so sorry that happened to you? Just me? There's just zero empathy there.
But they never happened.
For the record, is there any way you could have had sex with that young woman or any young woman trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein in any of his residences?
The fact that he keeps moving makes him seem like he's uncomfortable. Like he's uncomfortable with the subject matter because he knows he has to lie every single fucking time. Because there are certain times where he doesn't move. That was a huge manoeuvre, wasn't it?
No. Without putting too fine a point on it, if you're a man, it is a positive act to have sex with somebody.
Someone taught him how to answer questions, right? Because who the fuck told him that this was going to be a good answer? I don't even care what the rest of this answer is, because what...
To have sex with somebody, you have to take some sort of positive action.
Even if the person's been trafficked?
If you try to forget, it's very difficult to try and forget positive action, and I do not remember anything. I've racked my brain.
This is so weird.
Epstein's housekeeper, also in a Florida court legal deposition, said that you visited the Palm Beach residence around 4 times a year. You got a daily massage.
4 times a year?
Got a daily massage. Like I say, those young masseuses, whether of age or trafficked young girls, that was known. And the fact that a housekeeper who has nothing to fucking gain has confirmed he was there 4 times a fucking year, having a daily massage. I don't know, the complete strain of his face right now is just, again, screaming, how do I lie through this? because I didn't expect that this was going to come out.
That was what he said in a Florida court legal deposition.
No, definitely did not visit his Palm Beach house 3 or 4 times a year. Absolutely not.
How many times would you say you visited?
Probably 4 times in total throughout the time that I knew him.
But you weren't that close friends?
You said in your statement from the palace,
Yep.
at no time did I see, witness or suspect any suspicious behaviour.
Yep.
Virginia Roberts' legal team says you could not spend time around Epstein and not know what was going on.
Exactly. You were either completely fucking oblivious because you were super, super young, which he wasn't. You could forgive the girl who was 22, who even noticed there was a lot of young ladies or underage girls there. No one who spent time with Epstein didn't fucking notice it. And this isn't someone who spent one day with him, may never have seen anything. He's been to multiple places. He went to Epstein's island, to multiple of his houses. He's been on his private jet, on his yacht, whatever. Like, he's been on all of these things, never noticed anything. Bullshit.
First of all, I'm not looking for it. That's the thing. If you're looking for it, then you might have suspected now, with the benefit of a huge amount of hindsight and a huge amount of analysis.
Exactly. So even if you're using hindsight, why would you not have said, I regret my friendship with Epstein? How did you think this interview went well?
You look back and you go, well, was that really the way that it was, or was I looking at it the wrong way?
Is he just an idiot, or is he just arrogant? Let me know in a comment.
The other aspect of this is that I live in an institution at Buckingham Palace which has members of staff walking around all the time.
Not underage girls, though.
There were a lot of people who were walking around Jeffrey Epstein's house. As far as I was aware, they were staff. They were people that were working for him or doing things.
They were particularly fucking young to just be staff, Andrew.
As it were, I interacted with them, if you know what I mean, to say good morning, good afternoon.
So it's not even like you saw people walking around and didn't even really look at them to realise their age. You actively said good morning, good afternoon, etc. to these people and didn't clock. She's a bit young. There's a lot of young ladies that I've said hello to that work here. That's very odd. Maybe they're here to party.
Party?
But you'd notice if there were hundreds of underage girls in Buckingham Palace,
God.
wouldn't you?
But you would notice if there were hundreds of underage girls in Jeffrey's house.
Exactly. You should notice if there's 10 to 20, let alone fucking hundreds.
You seem utterly convinced you're telling the truth. Would you be willing to testify or give a statement under oath if you were asked?
Well, I'm like everybody else, and I would have to take all the legal advice that there was before I was to do that sort of thing.
You should have taken legal advice before you went on this fucking news interview as well, for God's sake.
Virginia Roberts' lawyers, legal team, say that they've asked for a legal statement from you. There is an active FBI investigation now. Would you be willing to provide that?
Wasn't there an active FBI investigation already that Palace had to schmooze to get Andrew cleared?
Epstein was found dead.
Yep.
In prison.
Yes.
In August of this year.
Yep.
What was your response on hearing that he'd died?
Shock.
Some people think that he didn't take his own life.
I believe that centres around something to do with a bone in his neck. I'm afraid to say I'm not an expert.
At the very least, why would you not say, like, well, it's very strange that there's camera footage missing outside of his cell?
I have to take what the coroner says, and he has ruled that it was suicide.
Yeah, because that couldn't be paid off.
He's dead. His girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, your old friend,
Yep.
was, victims say, complicit in his behaviour.
I know someone who says that they actually feel sorry for her because they think she's also a victim of Epstein. I think she was not only complicit, I think that she put certain girls with certain men. I think she orchestrated quite a bit. I think she was involved, highly.
Do you think that she has questions to answer about her role in this?
Well, in the same way that I have questions to answer, in the sense of what was I doing?
Yeah, because you were involved, mate. You just confirmed, like, in the same way there's going to be questions for you. Yeah, because you're both involved.
Be honourable and say to him, look, you've been convicted. It would be incompatible for me to be seen with you. Unfortunately, somebody was standing around with a camera at the time and got a photograph of us. It's one of the very few photographs there are of us. But that was the case. She was here doing some rally.
So even though he had by then been arrested and was facing charges of sex trafficking?
No. This was early spring, I think. It was long, because when was he arrested?
July.
No, it was before July.
And that was the last time?
Yeah. Because
Did you discuss Epstein at all then?
No, actually, funnily enough, no, not at all.
Funny enough. They 100% did.
Has the episode been damaging to the royal family, to Her Majesty the Queen?
I don't believe it's been damaging to the Queen at all. Has to me. If I was in a position to be able to answer all these questions in a way that gave sensible answers other than the ones that I've given,
I don't think you've given sensible answers, Andrew.
That gave closure, then I'd love it. But I'm afraid I can't. I'm just not in a position to do so, because I'm just as much in the dark as many people.
How do you reconnect with the public then now?
That is just not possible. I mean, look at after his mother died, when he was walking behind the coffin, there were people who were shouting, "There's a pedophile," etc. Because that's the only time he's not really seen in the public eye almost ever. You know, people felt like that was the only time they could get access in a way to him, to tell them how they felt about what he did. I mean, he to this day says that he didn't.
Exactly what I'm doing, which is to use and to continue to work with pitch, to continue to work with idea and the things that I believe strongly in. I'm not somebody who does things in competition with people. Oddly, I do things in collaboration with people.
Again, that's such a weird thing to say. Oddly. I mean, has the palace ever done something in competition? They tend to work with people in general. It's just such a weird, odd thing to say.
We've been going properly now for 2 years. We've got just over 500,000 young people who are using the service. It's designed for 7 to 14-year-olds in the United Kingdom.
Should he be involved with anything being designed for 17 to 14-year-olds? Seriously?
Social media, there is a whole range of things that you face now that you didn't face 25 years ago. There is a thick skin that you have to have. Again, I'm not a confrontationalist.
No, you're used to getting your own way, and you have been since you were a kid. Since you were a child, and you've been pranking Buckingham Palace, your mother just never telling you the word no. And that was confirmed by a lot of people who work for, or had worked for the Queen, that he was never told no as a child. And I think it turned him into an entitled, bratish fucking adult. And I think it had dire consequences.
Choosing to get out there and talk about these things, it's almost a mental health issue to some extent for me, in the sense that it's been nagging at my mind for a great many years.
But you don't regret his friendship. I can't get over that. This has been nagging at you, but you don't regret having a friendship with Epstein, with Jeffrey. Which is it?
Could I have avoided ever meeting him? Probably not. And that's because of my friendship with Ghislaine. Do I regret the fact that he has quite obviously conducted himself in a manner unbecoming? Yes.
Unbecoming? He was a sex offender.
I love that part! I've seen that part a few times. Obviously, that was also in the documentary that I saw. But it's just like, Emily even says, like, she was biting back her lip the whole way through that interview. And there was just that one moment where she just couldn't. And it just came out. And I don't blame you, because that is literally what everyone would have been thinking. Everyone.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm being polite, in the sense that he was a sex offender. Was I right in having him as a friend at the time? And bearing in mind this was some years before he was accused of being a sex offender. I don't think there was anything wrong then.
Was the fact that once he had...
The problem was the fact that once he had been convicted...
You stayed with him.
I stayed with him.
And that's a huge issue, Andrew.
And that's the bit that, as it were, I kick myself for on a daily basis, because it was not something that was becoming of a member of the royal family. And we try and uphold the highest standards.
Then how did he get through? And why was there letters or emails of you saying that you'd stay with him while he fought it?
Is there anything you feel has been left unsaid that you would like to say now?
No, I don't think so. I think you've probably dragged out most of what is required.
He never once says he's sorry for what they've gone through. He never shows empathy. Then again, I think that would have gone a hell of a long way. At least further than this fucking interview could have gone.
And I'm truly grateful for the opportunity that you've given me to be able to discuss this with you.
Your Royal Highness, thank you.
Thank you very much indeed.
No longer a Royal Highness, just an everyday Joe. So, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give us a like and subscribe. I feel like I'd really appreciate it. If you like these longer format videos, please let me know by liking this video, because I really want to do more long format content. I'm struggling to get up a video a week, so I'm hoping that by doing these longer formats, it'll give you some more content to be able to watch, even if you watch it over longer periods of time, etc. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!